Hello, my name is Carrie Coonan, and I am the principal of Raynor Country Day School, and it's always a pleasure to introduce myself. We welcome you to the 2021-2022 school year. If the last 2 years have taught us anything, it's to be prepared to expect the unexpected. Tonight, we're going to showcase for you our digital open house for the upcoming school year. We know that the time and attention our staff have taken to preparing these digital presentations will be able to answer many of your questions, as well as help you understand the daily routines in the life of your child. Should you have any additional questions, please don't ever hesitate to reach out throughout the year. And now it's my pleasure to introduce to you our very talented Raynor Country Day School staff.
Hi, good evening. Welcome into our virtual open house at Raynor Country Day School. I'm Mr. Pucciarelli, your child's fourth grade teacher. We have gotten off to a fantastic start in fourth grade. At this point of the year, your children are really settling into the routines we have in fourth grade and some of the new expectations I have as their new teacher. And it has been a really nice start to the year, and I'm excited to talk to you a little bit today about some of the academics we have in fourth grade, specifically math, social studies, science, and ELA. If you look behind me, you could see our math word wall in fourth grade, and I like to update this every 2 to 3 weeks when we're learning about new topics in math and new words and new sort of vocabulary words that your children will have to know heading into our math lessons. I always have a math word wall in the back of my classroom because I think it's important for your children as they're learning math to be able to take a look back there. And if they're unsure on a word, like you could see the word regroup is behind me or the word estimate is behind me. If they're ever unsure about these keywords I'm using in class, I want them to look behind me and take a look at what some of these words mean. So we'll always have a math word wall in fourth grade. I'm going to talk a little bit about, as you could see, your children at this point of the year bring home their math homework, and they bring their homeworks home and they bring their problem sets home every night. So their problem sets we do in class together every day. We have 1 hour of math each day, and their problem sets, if you notice, are identical to their homework, just different numbers are being used. Their homework for math, they have homework Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I won't give them math homework on Fridays ever. And they've been doing a nice job with it. I talk a lot to them about organization for math. So a lot of the topics we do, specifically place value, your children are going to come home with numbers that are in the 100,000s or in the millions. That's a lot of digits in a number. So I talk to them a lot about organization, and not just their crates, their desks, and now their lockers as they enter the middle school, but their organization for when they're doing their math work and they're writing all these numbers down and they're lining their digits up correctly. You could expect for place value, we're going to be doing a lot of word problems, specifically for addition and subtraction to start the year. We do a lot of comparison of multi-digit numbers, and that really leads us on a good path towards the metric system and multi-digit multiplication and division, where your children at some point of the year will learn long division and they'll learn all the steps to long division. One of my favorite topics to teach in fourth grade, I loved doing it last year, was our geometry module. And that takes place later in the year after New Year's. And the reason why I love teaching it so much, I love doing hands-on activities. And once your children understand some of the key concepts, like what an obtuse angle is and an acute angle, a right angle, how to take their protractor and draw a specific angle measurement, they get to create their own geometry city, where I have a set of guidelines of certain buildings, certain angles their roads need to be at, and they get to create their own city just based on some of my guidelines. And it's a neat way of showing their understanding of what an acute angle is. It's a cool way of understanding, using their protractor and drawing me a very specific angle measurement without that typical taking a test and drawing me the angle measurement. They're getting to be creative and use that artistic ability along with showing me their understanding of the math material. Throughout the year, if you ever have any questions about the math, especially once the kids start coming home and maybe they have a question on the homework that you're not sure of, keep in mind I always post a homework helper video on the Google Classroom, and it is also very helpful. Send me a message on Class Dojo if you're ever unsure or have a question about something for math throughout the year. Science in fourth grade is a great topic for your children. We do a lot of STEAM labs. We do a lot of writing. We learn, again, how to answer questions and feel confident about our knowledge in science because we do a lot of science in fourth grade. I wanted to take some time to talk a little bit about a couple of the STEAM labs I enjoy doing in fourth grade. One of my favorites has to be when your children learn about the rock cycle. So we talk about sedimentary, metamorphic, and igneous rocks, and we learn all about them. And we take the time throughout a week or two to learn about the rock cycle. And after we're all done with it, we do a STEAM lab where your children will have starburst, and they, using the starburst and following my directions, they create the rock cycle using these pieces of starburst. And it's a really interesting activity. And again, it's hands-on and it's using the material that we learn in class for your children to have a better understanding and get to see it in real time. Not every child is going to learn by listening to me or learn by reading out of a book. So I like to incorporate these hands-on activities, whether it be science or math or ELA or social studies, as much as I can. And I like to include music in my lessons as much as I can. I know some children will have difficulty remembering material, but if I put a song on the smartboard with the material in it that they need to learn, they will memorize it very, very quickly. So science is going to be a fun topic this year. We do a lot of life science. That's what we start the year off with, classification of animals, adaptations. We spend some time on earth science, which is a lot of that rock cycle. And then towards the later portion of the year, we talk a little bit about physical science. I would not expect much homework to go home for science. We do have the science fair that happens after New Year's, but that's something that when we start getting ready for the science fair, I will take time out of our class time to set your children up for the success they're going to need at home. I would say that's about the majority of the work that's going to be getting sent home for science. I wanted to take this time now to talk a little bit about ELA and what you can expect your child to be learning in ELA this year. I love ELA for fourth grade because we have a lot of time throughout the day and throughout the school year to really dive deep into some topics. A lot of the questions I saw in that getting to know your child sheet I sent home at Meet the Teacher, a lot of parents felt that they wanted their child to become interested in reading a lot more, and not just read because they have to read, but read because they're interested in reading. And I agree. I think that's a really great goal to set for our students in fourth grade. One of the ways I try to accomplish this is around the month of October and November, once your children are in a routine for ELA and they understand my expectations, we dive into book clubs where I take the month of September to find your child's reading level and their strengths and their weaknesses. And then I look at the whole class and I split them up into 3 to 4 groups. And each group has their own chapter book that they're going to read with the other students in their group. And I use that time to teach your children some ideas, some skills such as main idea, author's purpose. I'm saying this because we did it for morning work one day and making inferences. We did this for morning work, making inferences, and we had some difficulty with it. So that one jumped to mind right now as well. And I think it's really useful, especially for our children that read just because they have to read and not read because they have a love for reading. I would love nothing more than to send your children into fifth grade with a real interest for reading. And I think that these book clubs where they get to talk to their classmates and they get to discuss what's going on in the book, and there'll be times throughout the week where they're going to have a discussion with me and we'll have a talk about the book because I'll keep up to date on each book club is reading, is really helpful. And it's going to be a really useful way for your children to, one, read a little bit more and talk to their friends about the book that they're reading together. I think it's also going to be useful in an academic sense of hitting a lot of those goals, like I said, main idea and making inferences, author's purpose. Some of these topics that might be a little bit boring if I were to sit in front of the classroom and teach your children, but it's great when they get to open up a book and they're reading this book and then they come to their group and they come to me and I can teach them main idea. I can teach them author's purpose, not about something random, but about this book that they're spending a lot of time on and reading. In ELA, we also do a lot of writing. So one of my favorite topics to teach your children for writing is informational writing. So during the year, I will give your child a topic after seeing something that they're interested in, and your children are going to learn how to properly research a topic. I know last year I had a student very interested in pandas. So what we did for that student in particular, we showed them how to research the topic, good websites to go to, and then how to take all this information and not just throw it down on the page, but so an adult can read it and they can understand, okay, this is the introduction. This is where they're using their facts and really teaching about the topic. And then this is where the student's tying it up. So I look forward to a lot of learning and a lot of improvement in our ELA topics this year. A lot of writing in fourth grade, and it's fun writing. I think your children will enjoy ELA this year between our book clubs, which I am so excited to get started, and our writing topics, which are going to mainly focus around things that your children are interested in, but also it's going to be teaching them some key ideas for and some key skills for later grades, like informational writing, where they're going to learn how to properly research topics. As we head into social studies, which is a subject I love to teach in fourth grade, I love to teach it because a lot of the information that your children are going to learn for social studies this year is very helpful, not just for this year, not just for fifth grade and sixth grade, but as they grow older, it's going to be information that is very useful for them to know. One of the first things that come to mind for me is our first topic. We talk about the different regions of the United States and how the different regions have some similarities, but they also have many differences to them. So if your child is watching TV or listening to people speak and someone says the Midwest, they're going to recognize and understand what states are in the Midwest, where the Midwest is in the country, where the Northeast is, how the Northeast is different from the Southeast, which is information that they're going to need to know. And it's important that they're able to look at a map and understand the differences in climate, the differences that each region has resource-wise. And that's sort of the first thing we start the year off with. As we continue on throughout the year, I love to talk about the build up to the American Revolution, some of these taxes that were getting handed down to the colonists. Most notably, that I'm thinking of right now, because we do an escape room actually throughout the year about the Boston Tea Party, where after learning about the Boston Tea Party, your children work in groups together and they work on an escape room together with their group to try and complete some readings and find hints to get information about the Boston Tea Party and ultimately escape, which takes place. It takes about a week for the students to finish it, and it's a very fun activity. It's hands-on, and if there's one thing I can promise you, it's that your children will learn a lot about the Boston Tea Party after completing the activity. Um, After the American Revolution, I love to talk about the three branches of government, right? After we spend so much time talking about the colonists wanting to be independent, talking about what the new country was going to be like, then we get to spend some time and talk about the three branches of government. And the executive, judicial, and legislative branch, and what all of their individual powers are, which is really helpful for students to know. Uh, I will say, as we end our open virtual house here tonight, I want to thank you all for watching. And any questions, please always feel free to reach out to me on Class Dojo. Please feel free to send me an email, especially as we go through the year. And if you have any questions on anything I said tonight, I would be happy to answer them. And I want to thank you for taking time out of your night to attend our virtual open house at Raynor Country Day School. Thank you.